Hello. So it's quite early. Uh, it's very early. It's, I think, around 6 a.m. I woke up today, around late, somewhere around 3:50 a.m. I couldn't go back to sleep, and I've really been struggling to sleep anyways. So I'm just up taking a walk. But when I woke up today, there were two songs stuck in my head. I had a bunch of dreams and I got a bunch of messages, but I don't remember any of them. Sorry. But I have these two songs stuck in my head. The first one, this is the first time I've gone for a walk so early in the morning. So I'm but I'm sure I'm fine. I just hear nestling. Oh my God, I just saw a bunny rabbit. Okay, so anyways, yeah. The first song was Return of the Mac, dun, 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 Return of the Mac, dun, 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 Return of the Mac. You knew that I'd be back. I just saw 111. And then the second song was This is not what I want. This is not what I planned. And I just have to say, I do not understand. Something's not right, really wrong. And we've got to get things back where they belong. Oh, we can do it, got a plan. Think of what you know, we can do it, dun dun dun. She's gotta go, we can do it, creme brulee. Keep your voice down low, not another word, no, not another song, no, not another beat, no. Everybody quiet. No, 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 no. Stick to the stuff you know. If you wanna be cool, follow one simple rule. Don't mess with the flow, no, no. Stick to the status quo. Oh. I'm sorry for my vocals. But first of all, can I show you the sky? Then I'll tell you what the message is that I think that I've been getting. Look at the sky. Oh, you can't even, it's not even really doing it justice. Look at that. It's really pretty. Okay, so anyways, I'm gonna just deliver my message. I was gonna sit on my hill, but because there's no one at the park, I might just sit at the park, at the bench, on a bench, and leave the bunny rabbits to graze the field, because I think that they're hopping around and I don't want to get in their space. So yeah. Anyways, so let's talk about it, because what I got, so yesterday also, I've been getting these videos, these mental health videos showing up on my YouTube page for a while, and I don't watch mental health videos, so it's something that's just being sent to me. And the ones that I've been getting have been from this woman who's pretty popular on YouTube called Dr. Tracy something. She makes a lot of mental health awareness videos. And then one from a lot about ADHD. So I've been getting a lot about ADHD and a lot about the one that was on my page that I clicked on and looked deeper into was this one about psychotic depression. And I was like, oh my God, why is this on my page? But yeah, I just decided I don't want to sit on this. Sorry. Let me just feel the grass and see if it's wet, because if it's not, then I'll just sit on the grass. It's wet, but it's morning dew, which is fine. So anyways, okay. So return of the Mac and stick to the status quo. So what I'm feeling is that there is going to be a concerted effort, and it's already, I feel it's already begun, but I feel there's an effort because things are changing, right? The status quo it's changing, and in a way that is really good, right? Things are beginning to change. People are beginning to step into independent thought. People are beginning to form their own communities, move around the world, more and more migration, more and more independence and freedom, and just asking questions. And all of the rules around power and around, compliance are beginning to change. And it's beginning with, everybody's mental thoughts and their emotional expressions and how we deal with trauma and how we confront issues and things like that. And I feel like these two songs were stuck in my head. And yesterday I spoke about the fact that I think a lot of us are receiving energy from people in power who want us to engage with their own traumatic energy and their own karma, and to be scared, so that we think that we're crazy and we, run back to these systems to help us get better and validate us. And I say all this and I'm really struggling because yesterday I've been experiencing a lot of roller coasters, mood swings of emotions. Roller coasters of emotions. And, oh my God, the animals are really out. As a Cancer, that's not super surprising. I tend to experience many emotions. And as a what's it called? Empath, which I believe we all are, that's not surprising either. But, oh my God, there's a bunny. I don't want to bother them. I'm just going to go sit in my spot. Hopefully it won't be upset with me. There's a little bunny rabbit. Yeah, but like I said, I think that we've been receiving energy from, look. Do you see the bunny? I'm trying not to walk near it. I don't want to scare it. Yeah, but anyways, we've been receiving a lot of energy from, I think, people in power. Who are these people in power? I don't know. Like, I don't know if it's the government. I don't know if it's nameless people that none of us know about. I don't know. All I'm saying is that there's a lot of energy that I don't think actually belongs to us that we are taking on. And I think it's important to recognize that and also recognize the subtle messages that are being sent to us. Hold on. Okay, I just had to take out my headphones. So, yeah, both of those songs coming out in my head were interesting to me. And I don't usually watch videos that I don't feel called or feel pulled towards. Hold on. Oh God. I don't usually watch videos that I don't feel pulled towards on my YouTube feed, even if they're, recommended, because I recognize that not everything is meant for me. But I will say, oh God, I feel like this is the video where I'm gonna sound the craziest, and I'm just bracing myself for it, honestly. Because what I'm about to say feels absolutely ridiculous. And like I said, this past year has been such a transition for me. So I just get worried because I know I'm not crazy. I know what I've gone through this year, and I know that I've had a spiritual awakening. And since then, the world has become a lot more clear and complicated. But, I'm still also aware of the fact that what I'm saying sounds crazy, especially given the recommendation that I got yesterday. But I have to trust that, it is what it is. And if I sound crazy, then I sound crazy, and whatever. So anyways, what I was gonna say is, I feel like they're trying to push us to psychotic breaks. and trying to make us feel crazy, because that video showing up on my recommended page, I don't think it was from Spirit. I don't, unless Spirit was trying to give me information about like why, about the mental health industry and things like that. But I am somebody, so when I was still in school, I took a class that was called The History of Madness. So I've already begun to be critical of the mental health industry and the psychiatric industry and things like that, because I understand the ways that they are, that they exploit and abuse, mad people, and the way that madness has already been, dehumanized and made to seem as if it is not, a human condition, that it is alien, even though it is very much so a part of the human reality. And that's not to say that it's not an experience that people, if they need help, should be able to receive help. It's just that trying to make somebody feel like they're not human and like they're not normal doesn't make sense, because madness is inherently human. And so I'm saying all of this because I don't just from that one video, and I've seen a couple of her other videos on my page, I'm not the biggest fan of this woman. I just I don't really like the energy of her channel, and I didn't like that video being on my feed. And it was an interesting contrast, because the ADHD video that I saw, it was a TED Talk, and it was this black guy talking, and he was like, ADHD, and the title was like, ADHD sucks, but it's also awesome, something like that. And I didn't get a bad vibe from that video, but her videos, I didn't feel so great. And her videos were very medical and very like treatment based. And this is not to critique her, because I literally don't know anything about her. But this is just to say that I don't know. Being depressed during this time and having all of these conspiracy theories is not crazy. If you look at the world, if you just are present and aware of reality, feeling depressed it's not out there. Feeling severely depressed is not, that's weird. That's not weird, given the circumstances, right? And having all of these theories about, government oppression and different things that are happening behind the scenes also isn't really crazy, because I'm just like, let's just be okay, take my own spiritual stuff out of it, and let's just think about things logically. The amount of information that has come up about people in power with Jeffrey Epstein alone, and human trafficking and sex trafficking and sexual violence and all of these different abuses, looking at the policing industry in the States, looking at the prison industrial complex, just thinking about all of the different problems and all of the different news that is broken, and then kind of just nobody even has the attention span or the energy to be able to pay attention enough to fully process and deal with it. It's been a lot. And all of those things, if anybody had said anything about that 10 years ago, they would have been called crazy and like a conspiracy theorist. And so I don't know. I just think that you should be cautious of turning to these terms and diagnoses and medical treatments from these people that are treating you like you're crazy and putting a Band-Aid over a societal issue. Like, the severe depression that people are experiencing the root cause is not in them. The root cause is in society. The root cause is in the way that our government doesn't care for people. Oh, there's a baby squirrel. Oh, so cute. That squirrel is so tiny and so cute. Yeah, the root cause is in the way that we're not being taken care of. The root cause is in the the food that we have access to, and the lack of time off, and the overworking, the capitalism. Like, those are the root causes. So, like, all of this medicine and diagnosing and all of these things, like, what is that going to do to fix the foundation problems, the systemic issues? And I feel like the return of the Mac and the stick to the status quo song came into my head, because it was like, sticking to the status quo would be saying that you're crazy, saying that you're severely depressed, and then relying on these mental health institutions to suppress your emotions and, numb you until everything that you feel and think is gone, and make you so disconnected from really feeling everything that the world is. Like, there are a lot of veils that are put up when you, I don't know, I have to be so careful with my words, because I'm somebody who, I believe in science. I think that doctors are good people. Many of them are good people. I believe in mental health care. I want to be really careful. I don't want to feed into the, stereotypical dismiss everything and blah, 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 and don't trust anything, because that's not true. I am just saying, though, that there is a need to be cautious with what the remedies that they offer are, because if these remedies maintain these systems, then it's not health care. They're not caring for you. They're not taking care of you. They're numbing you. They're tranquilizing you. And, nobody's crazy. Nobody's crazy for feeling severely depressed. And the thing that the thing that is upsetting and frustrating is that in the comment section of these videos, it's, there's so many comments from people who are just suffering. And, most of these people, first of all, don't have access to the health care or the coverage to even receive the help that this doctor is, prescribing. And for most of these people, it's not solving the root issues of their sadness, It's not solving the issues of feeling disconnected from life, and that numbness and that lack of desire to be around anymore, because those issues don't have anything to do with them. It has nothing to do with them. It has everything to do with the way that our world is. And as people, if you don't want to use the word awake, because I understand that awaken feels like bleh. So whatever term you want to use, but as people become more aware and more independent in their thinking and moving away from the status quo, there is this pushback from these systems to try and draw in who they can by making you feel crazy. I don't know why I would have had a psychotic depression video recommended to me. I don't watch anything around mental health. I don't watch anything around mental health. I've never watched anything around depression on my YouTube channel. My YouTube feed is usually, the things that I watch are vloggers and cooking stuff and BuzzFeed things and readings, and that's it.
I don't really watch anything beyond that. And like music videos and songs and things like that. So I don't know why that would have been recommended to me. And I think that it's dangerous to recommend something like that to somebody. No? Like, yeah. Depression, yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm feeling that. But I don't think that I'm psychotic. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with me. I think that I'm reacting naturally to the world. And it is, like, it's just the most insane, ridiculous experience of gaslighting that they're trying to do right now with just making us feel crazy. And they're doing it through means that are totally explainable. Like, the way that they described psychotic depression was really interesting, and I can absolutely see why. I can absolutely see why they thought that they would be able to get me with that one. Because they had me for a second. But this is why it's actually so sad, because if I was really like in a low state and I wasn't able to pull myself out of it, I would spiral down a hole of looking up those types of videos and just becoming more depressed and feeling more helpless, because it's all this information around the way that I need to be medicalized and treated and blah, 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 and no validation in why I feel the way I feel. She was calling it like delusions and things like that. And some of her examples I totally understood. And I'm absolutely sure that some of these things absolutely do apply in situations, and there are people who are really struggling and actually need, this kind of help, and it's not, but I don't know. I think that the idea of the root issue being the person rather than the system just doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't make sense to me in the day and age that we're living in. Like, I sometimes wonder, like, with mental health treatment plans and things like that, like, are they considering the world that we live in when they're talking about people with schizophrenia, and they're talking about people with depression and bipolar disorder and ADHD? Are they considering the circumstances of the world? And it's even more frustrating because spirituality is not taken seriously. We can't even ask them if they're considering that as well. Because as soon as you begin to consider the spiritual effects of living in the world and being a human being, every mental health things make sense. Everything makes sense. And everything is explainable, and there's like the idea of needing medicine to numb and erase these experiences. I don't feel like that would be the first answer. I think the answer would turn to, how can we create a world that recognizes all of the very different human experiences and creates a safe place for people to exist safely and with a quality life, so that they're not constantly living in fear, and they're not constantly in danger, and they're not criminalized, and they're not experiencing violence constantly, like a lot of the conversations around mental health where people are like, well, this is why they need medicine, is because they have violent reactions, or they're living in fear and things like that. And it's like, well, yes, then that is a situation where you would want to help somebody, but could it also be because of the circumstances of the world that they are in? If you're constantly told that you're crazy and no one recognizes that what you're experiencing is real, that it's called delusional, and that it's only real for you, but it's not really real, like that type of narrative, of course you're going to become paranoid, of course you're going to become defensive, and naturally you're going to isolate yourself to the point where everyone becomes a threat. It's not that hard to understand how someone gets there. It's really not. Anybody who's ever experienced depression, anyone who's ever experienced bullying, isolation in any form, can totally understand that that pattern of how you slowly get there. It's not confusing. What's confusing is people pretending like it's confusing, because it's like, that makes total sense. I totally understand how you got there. Totally understand how you got there. And yet the answer is never, how can we make things better? How can we make the world better? And so, there is going to be, because I'm witnessing it on my YouTube feed, and I was talking about healing our relationship with technology starting now, so that, and this is all experimental, because I haven't done any of this. I'm just saying that maybe this is something we should try, because at this point there's so many avenues to get to you in terms of making you feel crazy and pushing you back into the system, making you afraid of yourself so that you run back to these systems to help you, and therefore maintain this status quo. They want us to stick to the status quo. In this scenario, they are Sharpay and what's his name, even though they weren't even the bad people, but you know what I mean. They want us to stick to the status quo. And I feel like with Return of the Mac, it was like return of joy, return of independent thinking, return of freedom. People, it's coming back around, return of the revolution. But anyways, there's many avenues that they can get to us, especially through the digital world. And because of the way that spirituality is right now, where it's like whenever something shows up on your feed, it's a sign. It's not like, especially if you are super deep in your spiritual journey and you're holding on to anything you possibly can, because the spiritual journey is like so chaotic and isolating and lonely that, you take everything as a sign. When you're really in the pits of it, you take everything as a sign. So that is being manipulated, because they're like, oh, they'll just see this as a sign that they're crazy. And so they're sending us videos and, messages around our own wellness and our own health, and making us feel crazy. And there's a need to reclaim your relationship with your technology and your digital space, and set boundaries so that you can understand when something is meant for you and when it's not. What is a message that is meant for you and what is a message that is not? What is something that is coming from a space that you actually do not claim? You don't have to claim everything that's on your feed. And even like the terms, recommended for you. Why? Don't just assume that it's recommended for you because you're crazy and because you need to see this. Ask why, Just don't accept things at face value, because we're moving into sensitive spaces. We've already been there for a while, but to me, it's not unique. It's not a coincidence that psychotic depression video was released in February 2020. So it was released right before the pandemic. During the pandemic and post-pandemic, depression has gone up to new levels. Like, there's studies everywhere that the levels of depression and the amount of people who are living with severe depression are at new heights. And I'm sure that many people are going to start identifying with the term psychotically depressed. Because when I was watching that video, I was like, oh, yeah, I can totally understand. But you're not crazy for feeling that way. We are living in a world where it is only natural to be psychotically depressed. Are you kidding me? Like, look at the world around us. It is only natural. Even if you think that you have a pretty decent life, even if you're not because they, the way that we justify depression is like you have to be poor and your parent has to have died, or you have to be, you just got hit by a car and now you can't walk forever, or you live in a country where there's a war, all of these really extreme things that justify your sadness, when we're not giving any weight to just what it takes to be alive and what it takes to survive in even the most okay circumstances. You know, like the energetic boundaries are so thin, the attacks are so deep, and the access that we have to other people's trauma and to other people's karma is so like, you know, that of course you feel depressed. Of course you feel depressed. It would be crazy not to. Yeah, but I guess I just wanted to come on here and say that because I just saw that video yesterday and it did not make me feel good. And I know that I'm probably not explaining this in the most, you know, eloquent way, but I hope you can get what I'm saying. Like, there's just going to be an effort to really make you feel crazy, and in ways that you can understand, because more and more you're going to be able to fully understand the experience of mad people, because you are going to understand that you are probably also a mad person. Most of us are mad people. We may not live on the extremes and we may not be recognizably mad, but most of us are. That is just what it means to be human. The mad experience is the human experience, you guys. Like, many of us experience depression. Many of us, you know, maybe are on the spectrum somewhere. It is a spectrum, which means you're on it. Everybody is on it. So everybody has the mad experience. Everybody is mad. And right now, because everybody, like, on a whole, we're all going through new levels of consciousness. We're just becoming more aware, okay? Whatever word you want to use. It doesn't need to be all spiritual and woo-woo. Whatever word you want to use. But we're all just gaining new awareness. And it's going to hit closer to home for the people who have passed very easily since in the beginning. Since, you know, compared to earlier. Like, most of us, you know, can go outside and aren't going to be called crazy and aren't going to be perceived as crazy and aren't going to be treated as such and, you know, isolated. But as we gain new levels of awareness, that's going to start to happen more often to people who wouldn't have thought they were crazy, you know, before. And so naturally, because so many of us really work from logic, you're going to be like, oh, there's something wrong with me. And so we're going to be the target of those mental health videos. Oh, you are psychotically depressed. Do you have this issue? Do you need to seek help? And like, they're going to be appealing to your logic, even though it's not logical. It's actually ridiculous. It's just gaslighting. It's not logical at all. But because we're still in a space where that is perceived as logical by our systems and by the governments that are watching over us. It's not just governments, it's these businesses, it's these corporations, but they are the government. Like, it's all, you know, they're all the same. So we are going to be the ones that are going to be the target. Like I've been saying in my other videos, I've been trying to really understand energy a lot more. And so I've been looking at certain circumstances, and I've asked myself, am I really afraid, or do I just think I should be afraid? What does the energy feel like in a space? And it's been very humbling, and it's been very humbling, because, so I'm just going to be real. I take public transit a lot, and I live in a city, so there are homeless people and there are people who are recognizably mad, who are on public transit and in public spaces. And being raised the way that I was, and having the privilege of not being recognizably mad, you know, there was a fear instilled in me around homeless people and around mad people. And so this fear, it wasn't really anything that I'm realizing now, as I'm beginning to really tap into energy and actually ask myself, am I scared, or am I just thinking I should be scared because that's what I've been told for so long. I feel the energy when like a homeless person is on the train or comes onto the train, or a recognizably mad person comes onto the train. the energy doesn't change. There's no shift. I don't feel scared. There's nothing wrong. But you can see the way that people tense up. You can see the way that people become afraid. Is that a massive rat? Ugh. You know, I'm sorry. I am in nature. Anyways, you can see the way that people become afraid, but the energy I'm moving to work not from my brain or whatever tells me that I should be afraid, but from my energy. And there's no shift in the energy. I'm telling you, there's no change. It could be somebody who, would fit all of the stereotypes of, oh, this is a scary situation. They're yelling, they're, moving around really rapidly. Maybe they're coming up to people and talking to them. All of these things that we recognize as crazy and that would make us feel afraid, because of the way that we've been socialized to think of mad people, recognizably mad people, though I think we're all mad. But yeah, I'm feeling the energy and I'm realizing there's no difference. There's no change. All of that is fake. All of that is an illusion. You are just reacting to what you've always been told to feel. You're not actually feeling what you feel. Because if you actually were feeling what you feel, you wouldn't be afraid. Because I rarely experience an actual energy shift where I'm like, oh, I am in a state of danger. We all know when we've felt in real danger versus when we've just been afraid because of societal norms. You know what I mean? But more and more we are moving into a space where madness is just human. And we're just understanding that there are various ways of being human. And I mean, look at me. There was a time when talking out loud to yourself was, seen as crazy. But now with the invention of YouTube and now with vloggers and things like that, and because we have this cell phone which acts as this space in between, it, makes madness more acceptable. But this is just talking out loud to myself, right? And if somebody had walked by and I didn't have my phone and I was just talking out loud to myself like this, I would be perceived as crazy. But with this phone, it makes it more digestible. That's why I've been seeing that pattern, 737, 747, 838. It's like these two mirrors and then it's this thing in the middle. And that's what technology has done. Technology is moving us into a space where madness is being able to be understood more clearly. Because we are seeing our own reflection, but the technology acts as this middle space to make it easier to digest until we get to the point where we don't need to have these things in between us to allow us to just be human. Mad people who are recognizably mad and who don't have all of these, who aren't able to be so easily programmed to quiet down all of these just natural impulses to talk out loud to yourself, to say your thoughts out loud, even if no one's speaking to you directly, to move around in, ways that are whatever, to ask people questions, to, have a very, what somebody might consider like a volatile reaction. They are just being themselves, and many of us are also that way, but usually just in private, or we have some medium that makes us feel more normal. But right now, with the invention of the cell phone and as things begin to become more digital, technology, one of the gifts of technology is that it's moving us into a space where we can begin to really understand our own collective madness and the way that it is human, and the way that things that we perceived as mad are actually it's just being a human being. You're just talking out loud. You're just saying your thoughts out loud. Or you're just dancing, You're just moving it. You're just being in a public space while being yourself. Like we've just been taught to be so small and so quiet that any Even when somebody like sighs loudly on a train, everybody will look at them, because it's like, you know, why are you speaking? Like, everybody, you're just supposed to be, you know. But we're beginning to open up, and we're not sticking to this status quo of being small little, like, mindless, you know, pieces of nothing. We're starting to be ourselves in the many ways that humanness can be expressed. And that doesn't mean that you need to be someone who speaks out loud, but you can. And sure, let them call you crazy, that you're just being human. We just need to start reclaiming madness, and the people who are going to be targeted the most and are going to really need to work on their boundaries when it comes to that psychological and that spiritual attack of making you feel crazy are the people who really pass in society and who really get to function as normal. Because when those people start going through their awakening, they might really struggle with not feeling crazy. You know, in the stereotypical term of crazy, of not allowing, you know, the status quo to get to you, and these systems to get to you, to pull you back in. It's going to be hard to let go. And that is just, I guess, what I wanted to come on here and say, because that video showing up on my feed was so, you know, it just felt so sinister, and I totally understand what they were trying to do. And luckily it didn't work, because I'm in a place where it's just, they got me, you know, I was already on this path of not being interested, so they couldn't get me, but I can totally see how they would have been able to. And there's no shame if they do get you, but I'm just saying, I'm just coming here to be like, you're not crazy, just to be, you know, someone to advocate for you in the midst of no one recognizing what you're experiencing as just you experiencing the human experience. And this is not to get on any, you know, mental health doctors or anything like that. You know, we are all victims of this system, and we have all been programmed. Most people just really want to help, but at some point we have to recognize that there's real deep faults in the system that mean that we need to completely disengage. We can't engage with it at all, because it's just not working. Fundamentally, it's not working. And that is how I feel. Sorry, my eye kind of hurts. But yeah, you're not crazy, and even if you are crazy, then reclaim your craziness. Everybody's mad. Everybody's mad. Everybody experiences some form of disability. Everybody experiences some form of madness. Everybody is on the spectrum. On every spectrum. We're all on the spectrum. And there's nothing, like, that's normal. That is normal. Or there is no normal. There shouldn't be a status quo. We're human beings. All of us coming from very different, unique experiences. And none of the ways that we express our humanness should be criminalized. Ugh. Unless it is bringing violence against other people. But when you're just criminalized for being yourself and for feeling things, that makes no sense. That makes no sense. Especially when we live in a system that refuses to take any accountability for the way that we feel. This system is allowed to tell us that we are insane, that we are literally psychotic. That's what the video was really trying to tell me, that I was psychotically depressed. And maybe I am, but that's your fault, not mine. You know what I mean? Like, if there's nothing wrong with my blood and my brain, like, there's nothing wrong with me. There's something wrong with this system. And don't invest, don't engage, do not engage. I'm telling you. Or if you are going to engage from a critical standpoint, but don't let them get to you. Do not let them get to you. Because they're not saying shit. Like, it's just bullshit. And it breaks my heart because the people in these comments are suffering. And I want nothing more than to help them. But it's also like, how? Because when you've been told for so long the only thing you can do is take medicine, and truth be told, I mean, the changes that we are going to have to make in order to get everybody to a space of joy again, and being able to find meaning in their own life, and having the energy to even try and create meaning. I mean, it's a lot of work, and I can totally understand why people are fucking tired. That's not crazy. I totally get why people are tired. But of course, I don't want that. I want to try and get us all there. But what it takes is recognizing that your depression is not coming from nowhere. You're not crazy. Your anxiety is not coming from nowhere. There are many, many, many things that are making you depressed. Many, 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 many things. Some of them are tangible, some of them are intangible. Some of them are explainable, some of them are unexplainable, but it doesn't mean they're not real. It doesn't mean they're not real. I just, it's time to reclaim madness. We are all mad. Some more recognizably mad than others, some more visibly mad, I guess you would say, but everybody's mad. And a lot of us would be visibly mad if we didn't have all of these things on that make us, high functioning. A lot of people, severely depressed people, are high functioning. A lot of severely mad people, and that is just to say that they are experiencing the more extremes of madness without any balancing, like without any grounding. A lot of them are high functioning. A lot of people have just learned how to merge with this world, with these systems, with these status quos. It doesn't mean that they're not also basically in the same experience. They've just learned to merge while others haven't. Others just don't. And the more that we, refuse to merge, the more that we'll be able to create a world that has to accept us and create systems that have to take care of us and acknowledge our humanity, whether we're subscribing to what they consider normal or not. What they consider normal doesn't fucking matter. Who gives a fuck what you consider normal? That doesn't have anything to do with you treating me like a decent human being and giving me my human rights. Like, what the fuck? It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, Spirit just is like, yes. And the sun, everything's coming to light. Return of the Mac, once again. Return of the Mac. Return of the mad. Return of the crazy. Reclaim your craziness. The Hierophant. Higher wisdom. The tower. Yeah. Like, we're not crazy, you guys. We are not crazy. Or we are crazy. Either way you want to use the term. If you want to say we're not crazy to reclaim your madness, or you want to say we are crazy to reclaim your madness, either way is fine, as long as you're understanding that there's nothing wrong with you, is the ultimate point. There's nothing wrong with you. There's something wrong with the world. That's what needs fixing. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. What you can do to help others is be more vulnerable and be more honest about how you feel and what you're experiencing. And let's not trauma bond, because right now that's what's happening. Like with technology is doing so many amazing, beautiful things for us, especially for these younger generations, as much as it's also, there's a lot of problems. Don't feed into this narrative that technology is evil and the digital world is evil. It's really not. It's really giving a lot of people a space to be themselves and to discover what it is to be sad and not have that be something that makes them, that they have to keep to themselves. A lot of people are being vulnerable and expressing themselves and expressing their own, experiences and trauma and blah, 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 and just not keeping it in. So, and like I said, technology is bringing us closer to a mad world. and that's not a bad thing. You know, like all of the things in like all of those apocalyptic shows, you know, part of the thing is like everybody's become crazy and blah blah blah. A mad world is a world that we need. We need a world that recognizes madness as just human. We need it because a lot of us are mad. Earth is a mad place. The human condition is a mad condition, and that's okay because there's nothing wrong with madness. The problem is that a lot of us are experiencing our madness in the extremes because there's no balancing, because there's no recognizing of our experience as humans, so we're not able to ground and we're not able to have our struggles taken seriously. And the mad experience is not negative. There's a lot of beautiful things that come from madness. I'm so happy that I love talking out loud to myself. I love it. And that's one of the funniest things about TikTok, because it helps us all recognize the ways that we are all so fucking similar. We all talk out loud to ourselves when nobody's around, but we need to start doing it like out in person. I don't give a fuck. We need to start talking out loud all the time. That's why vloggers, they were out here changing the game. Those early vloggers who were vlogging in public, they were out here doing the mad experience, but they got to use technology as a middle thing. And technology is that it's that like receiver. It is helping us become more comfortable with ourselves. You know, it helps us become closer to ourselves because of the ways that it acts as like it acts as like an intimate thing that doesn't make us feel alone even when we're alone, and we get to engage with it, but we also get to engage with ourselves. It's a really beautiful thing. It's a really beautiful relationship that human beings have with technology, and it should not be seen as something negative. The only thing is that we just need boundaries and we just need more education around it. But technology is not bad. AI is not bad. Our phones are not evil. Social media doesn't have to be evil. It's just about boundaries. It's just about boundaries. But yeah. Return of the Mac. Once again, return of the Mac. Yeah. Stick to the stuff you know. No, break the status quo. You have to break the status quo. That is what we need. Yeah, but don't let them get to you, y'all. Don't let them get to you. And in terms of like advice, do I have advice? I mean, not right now. I'm still trying to figure things out myself. Oh, but that's what I was going to say. If there's something you can do, be vulnerable and be honest with your family and with your friends. Share your own experiences. Be mad. Be publicly mad with your friends, with the people that you love. Be honest about what it means to be human to you. How are you human? Take off the shield. Take off the veil. Howl at the moon. Unleash your inner wild side. Unleash your real human being. There's so much of us that is just fabricated. There's so much of it, like, awakening really shows you who the fuck you are. You know, a lot of us are really not ourselves. We're versions of the world, of the way that these systems want us to be. You know, we're quieted versions of ourselves. Even the most authentic people, you know, are still just engaging with the system. And I'm speaking as myself as well, you know. For so long, I was just, you know, I just had these personas. I was a good student, I was sweet, I was cute, I was kind, I was nice, you know, I was the therapist friend. I just, you know, had these boxes, and I wasn't actually a whole person at all, which is why I felt like no one actually knew me. And I always, you know, and that's the whole thing with this generation, you know. It's like on TikTok, it's so interesting because we're getting to see how alike we all really are. It's actually very scary how alike and how similar we all are. You know, everybody feels like no one really knows them, and everybody feels like they're kind of mysterious, and everybody feels like, you know, they're the main character. And yeah, because nobody actually knows anybody, because none of us are actually ourselves, because most of us don't really know ourselves. Even the people that you would assume are super like unique and really know themselves, no, none of us really know ourselves. We're not going to get to that place until we really start being openly mad. And there's even ways, like even in the spiritual community, there's a very specific way to be spiritual, you know. There's a very recognizably spiritual way. You're vegan, you do yoga, you meditate, you wear crystals and low-rise skirts and things like that. And some of those are really cute, and I do as well. But there's many ways to be spiritual. The scientists are spiritual. The regular people who are not into any of that are spiritual. The atheists are spiritual. There's many expressions of spirituality, and there's no right way to do it. But we're just in such an aesthetic-based time that it can make it complicated to really learn who you are and have the guts to be yourself. But try. Go on this inner journey. Go on this self-discovery journey and learn about yourself, your inner world, the High Priestess, the Six of Swords. Explore. There's literally so much to learn. There's so much to know about yourself. And it's amazing because we're such complex, interesting creatures. The deeper you dig, the more you realize that you're never going to reach the bottom. You are a limitless, endless being. And it's going to be filled with struggle, and it's going to be filled with isolation and loneliness and loss. But that is the journey of self-discovery, and that is unavoidable. So don't let that push you away from beginning your spiritual journey. Don't let that push you away from beginning your self-discovery journey. Don't let that push you away from beginning your self-love journey. You know what I mean? You are never going to be able to avoid sadness. That is also a part of being human. You're never going to be able to avoid being sad. It's just a thing. It just happens. But what you can do, and I don't want you on me. Fuck. Yeah, sorry. I just don't want that ant on me. Yeah, you'll never be able to avoid that. Oh, shit. Yeah, you'll never be able to avoid being sad. But I'm telling you, this is the happiest I've ever been. And this is the deepest I've ever known myself. Even from when I was a kid, I've now surpassed the place of where I knew myself as a kid, or where I felt like I was super in tune with myself as a kid. I'm beyond that now, which, to be honest, I always thought I would just never get back to that place, because I was like, that was childhood. I'll never get to be that happy again, or I'll never really, be that much of myself, be as much as who I am ever again. But I'm getting there now. I feel like I'm actually surpassing that, which is incredible. And do you know how alive I feel because of that? And I don't have the most incredible circumstances in my life, but just being able to know who I am and to really discover that I actually really like who the fuck I am, because I like being myself. And you're gonna like being yourself. If you don't like being yourself, it's probably because you're not being yourself. You like yourself. You chose to come into the world a certain way. You like that version. The version of yourself that you don't like isn't a version of yourself at all. It's not who you are. You need to go find yourself. And it's a beautiful journey, so don't let these systems pull you away from that. Depression is a part of the fucking journey. You're gonna get depressed. It's a spectrum. You have to go on the journey. You're gonna feel it all. But it's worth it. I'm telling you. And I'm saying this with the understanding that in this world, it's hard. But I will say that I really believe that these self-discovery journeys, and you can call it a spiritual journey, you can just call it a self-love journey, or just just getting to know yourself. I think a lot of that is also going to help with depression. I think it's going to help with anxiety, because you just make room to just allow yourself to feel, and there's not all of this guilt around not being productive and not, living up to these standards. So much of the issue is just that we feel all of this guilt around the ways that we're supposed to be. And once you realize that there's no way to be, it just takes so much weight off your back. You don't understand how much of the burden that you're experiencing is spiritual, how much of the burden that you're experiencing is energetic, how much of the burden that you're experiencing is emotional and mental, and how much of that can be relieved when you just begin to go inward and really talk to yourself and really look at yourself, and not with shame. Just accept yourself for all the bullshit. If you feel like you're a horrible person, okay, you feel like you're a horrible person. What is hating yourself going to do about that? What is hating yourself going to do about that? Even if you feel like you deserve to be punished and you deserve to... What is hating yourself going to do? What is hating yourself going to do for you? Nothing. And there is no one who deserves to just live in sadness. I don't believe that. We all deserve to be joyful and be happy. And yes, a lot of people hurt other people and make mistakes. But I'm someone who's invested in... I gotta go because these ants are crawling like a motherfucker. I'm somebody who's invested in rehabilitation, and I don't believe in just throwing people away because you know, they're complicated. A lot of us are complicated. A lot of us are assholes. And part of the reason so many of us are assholes is because we didn't feel like there was any other way to be. You know? And that's not to give an excuse to the people who are jerks all the time, because no, they need to be accountable and responsible, but that's just to say that you don't deserve to be thrown away. And can I also, just on a very real level, like, you know, trying to throw people out because they're jerks, it's not going to do anything for anyone, because, sorry folks, reincarnation is real, and the trauma that somebody experiences in this life, they are undoubtedly bringing to the next. It's just what's happening. So there is no escaping it. Fix it in this lifetime, please. And do it for yourself. Do it for your next life, because you're coming back. Sorry, there's no escaping it. I don't know, unless you're on your last lifetime, but you're not. Trust me, you're not. You're coming back. So for yourself, deal with it now, please, because you're gonna be dealing with it again if you don't. That's like the horror. That's what I've been trying to say with this whole incarnation process. This shit is crazy. Like, even when you think that death is an escape, it's not. You're gonna be sent right back. It's not a joke. Like, we literally reincarnate. So, and we carry with us all of our fucking trauma. And even if you create a whole different soul plan, your past life trauma and karma comes with you. There's no way to get rid of that. As far as I know, there's no way to get rid of that unless you go into the astral realm and you heal all that. But you have to come in with a certain level of awareness in order to do that. And right now, many of us don't know how to do it like that. So work through it now. It doesn't actually take as long as you think. Once you start, you just keep unraveling. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. Yeah, but anyways, I feel like I've said all I need to say. Really glad that I got to chitty chat with you guys. I was supposed to give a reading, but I feel like this was the reading. I'm really happy that I'm getting to a place where I don't need my tarot cards. That feels pretty good. I feel like I'm, getting a little more skilled in my intuition, which is awesome. And, if you've ever wanted to be a witch, start your spiritual journey. All of these gifts are just skills, really. And they're things that some people just kind of come into the world and they have a little bit more. But we all have access to it, because we all have access to the same source.
but it does take work, you know. I was one of those people who came into the world and I felt like I did not get any of the gifts, and I was quite pissed off about it. But, you know, over this past year, I also had to take a chance, you know. I thought I didn't have any gifts, but I also wasn't trying to do readings. I wasn't trying. I just assumed that because it wasn't naturally, I didn't like naturally wake up and it wasn't like that I didn't have gifts. But we all have gifts. That's why I say, you know, that's the other thing I was going to say. Don't, you know, being rare and being like unique when it comes to spiritual gifts is overrated, and it's actually just not even like really like a thing. I believe that everybody is an empath. Everybody on this fucking planet is an empath, and obviously, like I said, there's a spectrum for everything. So you're on a scale on how much you really feel that empathic, you know, thing that we all have. But everybody's an empath, and I think that most people are really highly sensitive. So there is no, you know, you're not unique, and it's not like a cute thing to be special in that way. And I think that part of the selling point for so much of spirituality is like, oh, you're unique, you're rare, you know. But it's like, we've got to stop doing that, because first of all, it only makes other people feel like crap, because then they're like, wait, well, if we can't all be that, then like, you know, then I must not be. And like, it just feeds into other people's insecurities. And I know that people could say, well, that's not my problem, but like, it is, because stop pretending like all of these things aren't things that we all have access to, you know. Some people were born with it, some people get it more naturally, but everybody can, you know, read, and everybody can be, you know, access these gifts. They're gifts from the universe, and you can receive one too. It's like a goodie bag. You just have to show up. For real. So, yeah, that is what I wanted to say, because I was thinking about the fact that, you know, empaths are always like, I'm an empath, and like it's like a personality trait, like nobody else is an empath, and it's just like saying I'm a human being. It's the same thing with starseeds. It's like, girl, we all are. So don't invest so much in being rare, you know. That is not a good enough, like, I don't like that being the selling point of so much of spirituality. It's like, you're rare, you're different, and it's just like, we should actually be investing in the fact that we are all very alike. We are all very much so connected. We are all very aligned. We are all one, you know. That is actually what's really special. That is the gift. That should be the selling point of spirituality, the community aspect of it. How deeply you can connect with other people because you realize how similar you are to them, because you can see yourself in them. That is the beauty of spirituality. That is the gift that it gives you. It gives you connection to other people. That's why it's so incredible, you know. Not this, you know, isolating, you know, I'm the only one who's like this, and that's just, I just don't, you know, that's me though. I just don't like that perspective of it, because it just feels, it feels selfish, and it feels weird, and like it's about power. Because when you're saying that somebody's rare and unique in that way, it is a power thing, and it's a popularity thing, because then it's like, oh, she's so different, oh, she's so special, blah, 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 blah. It's not about that. It's about recognizing how connected we all are. And the gift of being an empath is being able to feel others and connect with others and share with others. And we all do that so naturally because we're human beings. And we're social creatures. I don't know how many times I've said that over the past month. We're social creatures. But it's true. So, yeah, sorry to get a little, you know, ranty on you. But I'm just saying, you are unique, you are special. Of course you are. You are your own unique expression of source, of the universe. And you're incredible, and you have so many creative and unique perspectives to bring to this world. But don't rely on just being rare to give you purpose. You know what I mean? What gives you purpose is understanding just how much you belong here, because you are truly connected to all of us, and we are one, and we are family. It's about love. love of self and love of others. Yeah. So you are unique, but your uniqueness also lies in the fact that you are a part of this community, which is such a special and beautiful gift of the universe, you know, to be conscious, to be awake, and to be able to perceive and feel and love the world around you is such a beautiful gift, and it is also such a hard gift. A gift and a struggle, but ultimately a journey that we're all on regardless, because here we are. And so what can you do to make it easier for yourself and make it easier for others? Invest in yourself and invest in others. Love yourself and love others. Care for yourself and care for others. Just be there for others. Community is going to be everything. Community is going to be everything. In this mad world, we need to understand that we're not alone. You're not alone. I'm not alone. We are much more alike than we think, and we have each other's backs. And you're safe here. At least on my channel and in my space, you're safe. I'm going to try and understand you the best I can, and when I can't, I'm still going to try and make space for you. But you have to make space for me too, and you have to make space for other people, and you have to be loving, and you have to be caring, and you have to be kind in whatever way that you do that. But you have to try. You don't just get to be an asshole and then ask for space. You know what I mean? Because we're all trying here. So if I'm going to work to make sure that you feel good and you feel safe, you better be pulling on your end too. No slackers. But if you need a break, if you need a day off, go ahead, girl. But do that in your own energy. You can't ask and ask and ask from others and not be giving like anything. That's not how the world works. Okay, excuse my attitude, but you know, I just want to spew my love all over the place, and maybe just a little tough love as well. But ultimately, I feel good now that I've been able to get this all out. This took a while. It took me a while to get here. But I always say in my head, what I worry about with my channel is that I'm like, it takes me a while to get to my point. And I'm worried because I'm like, these videos are long, and like, who's watching all of this, you know? I watch the full length of my own videos to make sure it makes sense, and because I like to hear myself speak, because I'm a Leo rising, and a Leo Venus, and a Cancer sun, and a Sagittarius moon. But yeah, I'm like, you have to kind of watch my full video in order to get the point of what I'm saying. Because in the beginning, I'm really just rambling. Because, you know, that's what I was talking about, though, when I was saying, if you want to learn how to pull from source or access your Akashic records, just ramble. Because you eventually get there. You will eventually get there. It just takes a minute. That's what I do. I'm not, you know, I don't meditate. Though this is meditating for me. And maybe I should meditate. Maybe I will try. But not right now. I just don't want to, you know? I'm just too, like, buzzing and chaotic to meditate right now. Maybe when I'm in, like, a calmer place in life, then I will. But, yeah, I'm gonna go walk around, and maybe I'll go to Starbucks, but it's really early. It's probably only, like, 7 a.m. now, so I don't think it's open. So I'm just going to go on for a walk and listen to the birds chirp and listen to my music. So thanks for listening, and see you later, love. Bye.